أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Okay, so as usual we'll start with our quiz question. So today I want to ask you about the types of revelation. So can someone tell me, first can you tell me what was the first revelation and where did it take place? Yes, that's right. And what was it? What was the first revelation? Yes, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. And now can somebody tell me how many types of revelation there are?
7.
I counted 6.
Yeah, 6.
So
you said one more, there is probably.
Okay. All right. So can people tell me one by one? So let's start on the right. Maimuna? Anything that you know about the types of revelation? Okay, so one of them is when he comes in human form. Okay, so it's Jibreel alayhi salam. He's an angel, but he comes in the form of a human being or a man, and he usually looks like a very handsome man. And the Prophet ﷺ used to liken him to one of the Sahaba amongst his time, Dihya al-Kalbi. And so once Aisha radiallahu anha, she saw the Prophet ﷺ speaking to a man who looked like Dihya al-Kalbi. So she said to him, she said that, did Dihya come to speak to you? Or she said something like, were you speaking to Dihya? So he said to her, he said, did you see him with me? And she said yes. So he said that was not Dihya, that was Jibreel. And he said that he said ultimately you will lose your sight, your eyesight. And she is the only woman, as far as I know, to have seen Jibreel alayhi salam in his human form. Because in what is known very commonly and famously as the hadith of Jibreel, where he comes and he says, I've come to teach you your religion. So in that gathering, there were obviously just the Sahaba. There was no women amongst them, right? So it was mostly the Sahaba who had seen him in that form, but she was the only woman to have seen him. And it is said that towards the end of her life, before she died, she became blind. So she was the only one who had actually seen him in that male form, in the form of a human being. Juwairia? No? Salma?
In the original form, he has been
Yes, that's
twice.
right. Twice, that's right. So the Prophet ﷺ has seen Jibreel alayhi salam in his actual form in which he has been created, but that he's only seen him twice, and Allah has mentioned that in the Quran. It's obviously a very overwhelming thing to see Jibreel alayhi salam in his real form. I mean, we read descriptions of it and we think, oh, that's like amazing. But to see something that amazing can be very frightening as well. It can. That's why the Prophet ﷺ, when he saw him, there are some reports that he fell down. I think he became unconscious. He was sort of like knocked out. So it's so awesome, his actual true form. And anything that you know about his true form?
600 wings.
Yes, he has 600 wings. Yes, pearls falling from his wings. Yes, so he's a very grand creation of Allah subhanahu wa taala, and he is perhaps one of the greater signs of Allah subhanahu wa taala's creation. And as we know, Allah subhanahu wa taala says in the Quran that He's created angels mathna wa thulatha wa ruba, with wings, 2, 4, and But you can imagine that this is the greatest of the angels and he has 600 wings, so the other angels are much smaller in creation compared to Jibreel alayhi salam. Okay.
Through dreams?
Yes, very good. So that is the first type of revelation, okay? Because remember the Prophet ﷺ, before he received prophethood, 6 months before prophethood, he would just have true dreams. Almost every night he would see a dream, he would wake up and it would happen. And this kept happening continually, where you start thinking about that, what is going on, that every night I see something and in the morning it happens. And like we said, the Prophet ﷺ said that true dreams are a 46th part of prophethood, and we did the calculation and we said that it came to 46 parts. Okay. What I was saying earlier about what the Prophet ﷺ said to Aisha radiallahu anha, so I'm not giving you the exact words, okay, so because I don't know the exact, I have not written it down, but he said something like that to her when she saw Dihya. He said that, that you will lose your sight, so something to that effect.
What's his name?
The Sahaba's name, the Sahabi
Who he disguised.
who was very handsome. So when Jibreel would come on the earth, he would take the form of Dihya al-Kalbi, who was very handsome. But it was not Dihya, but if you saw him, you'd think it was Dihya. Okay. Rifa? No? So far we've got dreams, true form of a man. That's all we've said so far, right? 3. So, Nilufar?
Flattering of wings.
So he would hear the sound of a bell. So people have described it as, they would hear like the toll of a bell. And the scholars have explained that perhaps it's the very fast movement of the wings of the angels which are making that sound. So it's not a bell that's ringing, but it's their movement that is making that sound. Like for example, when you're sleeping and you hear this sound near your ear and it's a mosquito, right? Now that sound is coming because the mosquito is not making any sound from its mouth. It's coming from his wings. It's coming from the movement of his wings, So it's they have this explanation that perhaps it is the sound of the wings of the angels. So that's 4.
He would inspire, but not in any form. Just like
exactly. So sometimes he would just receive the inspiration. He can't see the angel is not there in any form, but the inspiration is coming to him. So that would be like sort of, you could say like in an absentee form of, the angel is not there, but he's receiving the inspiration. And that happened many times. And it was very, very heavy on him. It was very hard on him. It was very difficult for him. People have reported that on a cold day, he would break into a sweat. There would be sweat on his forehead. And, it weighed very heavy on him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said that, right? That it is a qawlan thaqila. So it is
for this when it is inspired or
while it is being inspired, while he's receiving the inspiration, it was very heavy on him.
He told us that once he was sitting with Zayd bin Haritha, and his thigh was on him, near him or about or on him a little bit, and he felt that his thighs
will break
because of the weight. The time he was having
revelation. So it was a very difficult thing on him. And then the last type, anyone?
It's a direct communication like Musa alayhi salam.
From Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is a direct communication from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right. And what was the second revelation? Not Najm. Mudathir or Muzammil?
Wrap up yourself. Was it the one?
No, Mudathir.
Okay, let's see.
Muzammil and one of the pagans was challenging. He was initially
Okay, so the second one was Muzammil, and then the third one was Muddathir. Okay? Because the first thing after Iqra, Fatima, can somebody open that for us so she stops fiddling with it? These are probably the sounds that you guys are hearing in the recordings.
It's fine. It was actually quite fun.
Where is Aliza?
My two sisters is
Okay. I thought she's not well. Okay, alhamdulillah. And Isra as well?
Isra is preparing for her exam.
Okay, mashallah. All right. After he was, we explained this, so you can go back to the recordings and listen to it. But we explained why it was why it was Iqra, Qum, right? So you can go back and recap on that. But yeah, that was the first revelation, then the second, then the third. And so first he was told to read, then recite. Then he was told to, stand in the night and pray, because that is going to strengthen him and strengthen his iman. And then he was told to now go and warn. Now you have the strength and you have what you need. Now you go and speak to the people, because that requires courage as well, especially when you're coming with something new, which people are going to be opposed to, or they're going to be angry about. So you need courage, and you need that strength to be able to stand in front of them. And also, when you stand and you pray in the night, so you're reading and learning, then you try and apply it to yourself, and then you pass it to others. You can't teach somebody something that you don't know yourself, right? So you'd have to, work on yourself before you work on others. All right. And the last thing I will ask you, actually I will not ask you any more questions. We will go on, otherwise we will never finish Isra wal Miraj. Okay.
So now relax.
Now you can relax, yeah. Okay. So last time we stopped, I think I was telling you about the difference between Jannat and Samawat, right? I didn't tell you anything beyond that, correct? Okay, so can somebody tell me what is the difference between Jannat and Samawat? What are the Jannat and what are the Samawat? Okay, but what is the Jannat?
Jannah is what Allah has prepared, and then Samawat is what is created on this earth.
Okay, so in English, what would you say is Jannat? Yes, and what would you say is Samawat? Skies, or what they very often refer to as heavens. And the problem is that when you think of heaven, you think of paradise.
That's what I call atmosphere.
No, it's not atmosphere, because
It's the air around us, so it's
no, because the atmosphere is just around the earth. Okay, when you leave the earth, there's no atmosphere, it's space, but you're still in the lowest heaven. And remember, I said to you that where we are and what we don't even understand right now, and what there is like millions of light years of unexplored, unknown galaxy, this is all just the smallest, lowest heaven. Because remember, the heavens are getting bigger as you're going up. Okay, so like I said to you, it's the example of a ring in the desert, a ring in the desert, a ring in the... So this is the smallest heaven that we're in, and we have got no idea of how big it is, of what exists in it, what creation there is, every now and again people are discovering new things and new spots and new galaxies and new this and that, and we don't really have much of an idea. We've tried to, sending Hubble here and sending that satellite there, and we win some, we lose some, and we think we're so smart and we know so much, but really we know nothing. We know absolutely nothing.
So in Quran, when Samawat is said, it only describes the
skies, yes.
Not the Jannah,
No. Skies.
Because it's often translated as heavens.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. They call the skies heavens.
So
Okay,
Sama
but
is-
in English, heaven means paradise. Yeah, but it's not. That's not what it
So
means.
Sama is also sky.
Sama is sky, and heavens in English translation is skies. Okay, paradise is something different, which it seems from the narrations, Allah knows best, it exists in the 7th heaven onwards. And I don't know if there is more above that, because some narrations I was reading, it says that then he proceeded on to the 8th space. So Allahu Alam, but there's a lot of like unknown in that, I mean, we don't know. We don't even know what is here, right? And when you try and I don't know if you guys have ever seen these images of, the biggest star they found. Then they made images of in size, of the biggest star, and then the next size are down. And then they showed the sun and the earth, which is like some like little pencil point dot.
The sun is actually just an average star.
Yeah, it's not even, it's like tiny compared to, the largest body they found. I can't remember the name now. It's got some like, some, I can't remember what it's called now. Yeah, some Latin names. But what I'm trying to say is that now compared to the earth, right, we have these huge stars, and they even tried to give you an idea of how big this is, and they said you could fit like, 200 million earths in this star, okay? So they're trying to give you an idea of how big this star is, okay? And our earth is so tiny compared to it, and our earth is so big. I mean, how many of us can think about like even going around the earth, or how many of us has seen even half of this globe, right? There's so much. And if that many million earths can fit in that biggest star, and this is the smallest heaven, I mean, your brain just like after a little while it just comes to a stop, and you think, okay, you know what, I don't think I can even imagine beyond this. This is beyond our imagination, and it should show you, and it's a very, very good thing to see these kind of things sometimes. Did I send you the video a long time ago? I didn't? Oh, I must send you that video, inshallah. I will have to dig it out and send you the video and send it on to the group, inshallah. But that video is really nice because it explains size-wise, because as you go up, everything gets bigger, and then you reach the kursi, and then you reach the arsh, and then the creator of the arsh. I mean, you can't, it's for very good reason that we can't see Allah, and we can't even see the ghaib. I don't think we would be able to, tolerate it. Remember the Prophet ﷺ, his chest is opened, and it is filled with iman, right? And then it is sealed before he goes up, because he's about to see something that a normal person might not be able to even...
through the journey of Miraj, he was traveling from heaven to heaven, or from paradise to paradise?
Heaven to heaven.
Heaven to
Yeah, heaven to heaven. And paradise was something which is ghaib, but it seems like he has some idea. Because even Adam alayhi salam, they say, Allahu alam.
Because he met different. So
Yeah.
they are in heaven. Or?
No, I will explain that to you why they were here. They were not in paradise. Nobody is in paradise yet. Okay? None of the prophets, nobody is in paradise yet. Paradise is unoccupied right now, and it will become occupied on the Day of Judgment when the gates of Jannah open and the first person enters, who will be? The Prophet ﷺ. So right now, there is nobody in it apart from who Allah has placed in it.
So
Okay. So I'll tell you. We're coming to that, inshallah. So now, even Adam alayhi salam, it is said that the paradise that he was in before he came down to earth is not the same paradise. It was a paradise, but it was a different paradise. Allah knows best. Allahu alam. Okay, these are all things of ghaib. And in terms of, the size of the heavens and all of that, this is so mind-boggling. And inshallah, I mean, we'll probably understand this better once we're in the akhirah, but once we're in the akhirah, we won't really care. So I think it's like, it's just one of the mysteries, and it's the great creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay.
We'll go in a brand new house.
Inshallah, inshallah. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say to you, that maybe one day we should do a talk about Jannah. I heard a really amazing talk about Jannah some time ago, and the thing is that, we, like I said to you, that we can't even say we've explored a quarter of the earth, right? And the last person who's probably, the worst, he's been in hellfire, he was burnt, he was, the last person, he's finally come out of hellfire now, and then he keeps asking Allah that, he sees a tree, then he says, can I go near that tree? And Allah says that, will you ask for anything else? He says, I promise I will not ask for anything else. And he goes near the tree. And then he sees another tree, because as you're getting further away from Jahannam and you're getting closer to Jannah, things are getting more beautiful and they smell nice, they look nice, because you're getting away from Jahannam now, because he's come out, right? And he's gradually moving away. So then he sees another nice tree and he says, Allah, can I just go up to that? I won't ask for anything else. So Allah lets him go there. Then he sees the walls of Jannah and he can hear the sounds coming from inside, of people enjoying and laughing and talking. And then he says, that, can I just go near the wall? He says, I just want to go up to there. I don't want to ask for anything else. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to him, that, you keep making these promises and then you keep asking for more. And then Allah, makes this, you could say, deal with him. And he says that if I gave you what the earth contains and what the earth contains and the earth and what it contains and he repeats that. And at the fifth time, the man says, that's enough. He's stopping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's saying that because he's just come out of hellfire. I mean, for him, even sitting under the tree of Jannah is Jannah. And, then Allah gives him 10 times the earth and what it contains. This is for the least. So, can you imagine what people in the higher levels are going to get and what it's going to be like? And I mean, you can't, it's just like, it's there's so much left to the imagination and you don't even understand it.
So Samawat, sorry, I'm going back again. Samawat is heaven and Jannah is paradise.
Yeah, and when you say heaven, it's better we say sky. Yeah, skies, yeah. But the reason it's not skies, in the sense why they use the word heavens, is because, we think of our sky as the sky, right? Now, heaven is more than the sky. It's like, you could say, like the galaxies of this lower realm that we are in. I don't think there's really a word in English that we can give it, because there's, we call it space, right? Because there's no word for it, so we just call it space. And so it's like, that's how it just keeps going up. And recently I heard, they were saying that they found this black hole, and some time back they found the black hole, and now they're saying it seems like things are going through that into some other realm, and they don't really understand what it is. Allahu alam, if that is the gate to the next heaven or what it is, Allah knows best. Okay. So, before we make this into an astronomy lesson, let's move on. And like I said to you, that it seems like the Jannat are starting in the 6th or the 7th heaven, and then they proceed on from there. And paradise is of many levels, okay? And it is said that one level to the next level seems like when we look at stars in the sky and you see like these little spots. So one level of Jannah, if you look at the next level of Jannah, it will look like that. That's, how far it is. And there are many, many levels. Some ahadith have stated 100, but there's probably more than that. Allahu alam. Okay. Now, the Prophet ﷺ said that from Jerusalem, Juwairia, just leave that packet alone. From Jerusalem, he said, the doors opened for me, and Jibreel asked for permission for the doors to be opened. Now, I'm just going to read to you the hadith in Bukhari, but like I said to you, there's many narrations, and people have sort of pieced them together, but the order in which it is here, I will read that to you, and then we will probably go back and forth a little bit, okay? And I'll say, and this happened as well, and that. And we don't know in which order it happened, but I'll tell you some of the things that happened, not all of them. In the hadith book. Now, this is not the full volume. This is summarized, yeah. Okay, so it's page number 156. Okay. All right, so I will continue from when he leaves Jerusalem. Okay? So, then he took my hand, meaning Jibreel took the Prophet ﷺ's hand, and ascended with me to the nearest heaven. When I reached the nearest heaven, Jibreel said to the gatekeeper of the heaven, "Open the gate." So we know that these heavens are protected, and they have gates, and they have gatekeepers, and not anybody is free to go in and out and up and down as they please. The gatekeeper asked, "Who is it?" Jibreel answered, "Jibreel." He asked, "Is there anyone with you?" So Jibreel replied, "Yes, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is with me." He asked, "Has he been called?" Because they're not allowed to just let anybody in. So there are rules, there are regulations, there's instructions, there is a system. You can't just, just randomly turn up. Jibreel said, "Yes." So the gate was opened, and we went over the nearest heaven, and there we saw a man sitting with aswida, which means a large number of people, on his right, and aswida on his left. So there was a large group of people on his right and a large group of people on his left. When he looked towards his right, he laughed. And when he looked towards his left, he wept. Then he said, "Welcome, marhaban, ya yabnu salih wa nabiyyu salih." Okay, so he said, "Marhaban bin nabiy salih wal ibn salih," which means welcome, O pious prophet and O pious son. I asked Jibreel, "Who is he?" He replied, "He is Adam, and the people on his right and left are the souls of his offspring. Those on his right are the people of paradise, and those on the left are the people of hell. And when he looked towards his right, he laughed, and when he looked towards his left, he wept." Now, this must be a very amazing thing, for the Prophet ﷺ to see his, you could say, his original father, because he is the father of mankind, and it must be a very amazing thing to see. And he is a large man, because that Adam alayhi salam was built. He was in a large form. He was a big creation. And sometimes you think that when you see somebody for the first time, someone who you've always wanted to see, you'd like to you have so many things to ask them, to talk about, and to sit with them. But the Prophet ﷺ, he's on a tight schedule. But it must have been a very very tempting to stop and talk to him and ask him things. And sometimes I don't know. I think about these things, and I think that maybe if I saw such and such person, I'd ask them this, I'd ask them that, because you have a lot of questions, and especially when you read a lot of things and you want to know about things which happen when you are not present. Okay, now keep track of the order, because I'll test you, okay, and I'll tell you why it's in this order. Okay,
This is first heaven, right?
first heaven, yeah.
So does that mean everyone when they die they go to that place?
No. So this, by the way, is just, you could say, the welcoming committee, okay, set up by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he has selected these few people, because obviously the Prophet ﷺ in this only meets 8 of the prophets, okay? And obviously we know that there are more than 8 prophets.
She is bothering you, I think.
Maimuna, can you just open that packet and take out what is in it and just stick it in a cup or something and give me the packet, please? Let's just put her out of her misery. Give it to me. I know, man. Okay, khalas. Is that enough? Or you want all of them? Just put them all in the cup and get rid of that packet. Just put it on the windowsill. Okay, khalas. All right. So when somebody goes somewhere, somebody big goes somewhere, you welcome them, you roll out the red carpet, you have people waiting to sort of welcome them, and receive them, right? So this, you could say, is sort of like the welcoming committee, as in, these are the people who Allah has placed in each heaven to welcome the Prophet ﷺ to, on his journey, to like greet him and meet him and that kind of thing. Heaven, yeah. They're still in the skies, yeah. These are just the different levels. We have not entered Jannah. We are not going to enter Jannah.
So
these are the souls. But you're saying that, is that where the souls go? Now, the souls go to Barzakh, okay? And
so basically, they're all taken up from Barzakh and placed in the different heavens.
I don't know. Allah Alam. The thing is that Barzakh is not really very clearly understood. So some people said that Barzakh is on the earth, but it's in a remote place where there's one place for the good souls and there's one place for bad souls and there's one place for the mixed souls, or who are like good and bad or something like this. Now, Allah Alam, is this actually on earth? Because that the ruh goes up and then it comes back down. It doesn't stay up, right? So Allah Alam, maybe this is just like temporary, that the souls are next to Adam alayhi salam, because Adam alayhi salam is not usually there. That's the first heaven is not where he usually is. He's just been brought from wherever he is and placed in the first heaven to greet the Prophet ﷺ. This is not where he... Yeah, they prayed in the masjid and now they've gone there to greet him, but these are not their original places. They have all been taken out of their barzakh and they've just been placed here.
Meet and greet.
Apart from Isa alayhi salam, who is not dead, who's alive. So he's not in barzakh, but he's in a place where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed him. What that place is, Allah knows best. But he's also been placed in one of the heavens just to greet the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
When Isa comes back, will he know where he was?
Allahu alam. Perhaps because as far as I know, he's not dead. He is alive.
But will he remember?
Allah knows best. Okay. So, yeah. So now this knocking of the heavens happens at every level. So you just multiply that by 7. But I'll just go through some of them anyway. Okay. Then he ascended with me till he reached the second heaven. Okay, and heaven means sky, or not paradise, not Jannah. Okay, this is still earth. Earth as in it's still like creation, which is not like ghaib. Okay, for us it's ghaib, but you know what I mean. Then he ascended with me till he reached the second heaven, and Jibreel said to its gatekeeper, "Open the gate." He doesn't say open the gate. He just says iftah. Okay, but to explain to you, he said open the gate. So فقال له خازنها مثل ما قال الأول. So the gatekeeper says similar to what he had said before, that who are you? Who is somebody with you? Has he got permission to come? A conversation somewhat like that. And then he opens the gate. Anas said that Abu Dhar added, because this narration in Bukhari is by Abu Dhar, and he did not give I think he did not give the order in which the prophets are mentioned in the heavens. Okay, so this order is from another narration. All right, and so Anas said that he did not mention on which heaven they were, but he mentioned that the Prophet ﷺ met Adam alayhi salam on the nearest heaven and Ibrahim alayhi salam on the furthest one. Now I'll just tell you the order, but you have to remember it and I will test you on it. So he meets Adam alayhi salam and he moves on to the second heaven. Does anybody know who he meets on the second heaven? No. You said one of them. Yeah, and who would Yahya alayhi salam be with? Yes. Why? Yeah, they're both cousins. Their mums are sisters. right? So they're both cousins. So he meets Isa alayhi salam and Yahya in the second heaven, and they both greet him and they say, marhaban ya akh saleh and ya nabi saleh, that oh honorable or noble brother and noble prophet. And I'm trying to think. I think that's where okay, and then he goes on to the third heaven. The same thing happens. Jibreel alayhi salam knocks at the gate. The gatekeeper asks, who is it? Is there anybody with you? Has he got permission to enter? And then he opens the gate and they go on to the third heaven. Who did they see in the third heaven?
Yunus alayhi salam.
No, they don't see Yunus alayhi salam at all.
No one is.
So then Musa
Who?
is
No one
No.
is. Alayhi is on the fifth side.
No.
No.
Idris, yes, but Idris is known to be in a certain heaven, but it's not the third one. Yes. Did you say Yusuf? Yes. So he sees Yusuf alayhi salam. And that's where he is said to have said the famous statement that he's given nisf or shatrul hasan, that he's given, the half of beauty. And, the people interpreted, because I always understood it to mean half of, like the beauty of the world was given to Yusuf alayhi salam. Some of the scholars said that it meant half of the Prophet ﷺ's beauty. The Prophet ﷺ was the most beautiful, and half of his beauty was given to Yusuf alayhi salam. And also, you will see that, the Prophet ﷺ's miracle is known to be the Quran. But if you analyze the miracles of the Prophet ﷺ, he was given all the miracles of all the prophets, and he was given the Quran. So everything that all the prophets did, he did as well. And on top of that, he had the Quran. Because you could say he is the epitome of, perfection and creation, and he's the choicest of people. So he's been given everything. Okay. So yes, so he sees Yusuf. Then he ascends to the fourth heaven. Who does he meet there? Yes, Idris alayhi salam. And Idris alayhi salam is known, Allah has mentioned that he gave him a high place, right? Allah says in the Quran, وَرَفَعْنَاهُ مَكَانًا عَلِيًّا, yeah, which means that we raised him to a high station. Now, if you see in comparison to 7 heavens, the fourth heaven is high, right? Because there's no really half of 7, but 4 is a higher number than 1, 2, and 3. That's where his soul was taken. I think he was flying somewhere, and then his soul was taken from the fourth heaven, and the angel of death said that I was wondering, how am I going to take his soul from here? And he had been called. Anyway, that's a different, separate story. Maybe one day you can study Qasas al-Anbiya. But I will come back to the explanation of, some of why this is happening and why these particular people have been chosen. Okay, the fifth heaven. Harun, yes, Harun alayhi salam. And then the sixth is Musa alayhi salam, and then the seventh is Ibrahim alayhi salam. Okay. Now, Musa alayhi salam is the only one, the Prophet ﷺ said that when he came to him, he started to cry. And my children love plastic while I'm doing the dars. They seem to go and find all the bags and packets that make some sound. Okay. So,
He was jealous.
don't transcribe that when you write the notes, that my children like plastic. All right. Yes, so, Musa alayhi salam starts to cry. And when he is asked that why is he crying, he says that, that this young boy was sent after me, and he has a greater following than me, and a larger number of his followers will enter paradise than mine. And so, it's like a healthy competition. It's not a bad kind of jealousy, like he doesn't want something bad for the Prophet ﷺ, but he just, it's good to compete and good. whether it is in giving sadaqah or, I mean, the jealousy that is allowed is if you're jealous of somebody who has a lot of knowledge and they spread it, or if somebody has a lot of wealth and they give it as sadaqah. So, you wish that I had that kind of money and I could give sadaqah like that. Or if I had so much knowledge and I could teach people or tell people, right? It's a good thing to feel that. Because if you don't feel that, then you will never strive to get there. If you see people with money and knowledge and you think, oh yeah, good for them, then you will never try and get there. But the time that you try to race, like we are all racing in the dunya, right? We're thinking, oh, he's got that car, he's got that house, he has that many children, that's it, that's what I'm aiming for, right? We're competing in these things. But this is unhealthy, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given everybody according to His wisdom what is sufficient for them. So, something that you have not been given is something that you don't really need, because if you needed it, then Allah would give it to you. And Allah has not made a mistake, but He has, out of His wisdom, He has chosen people for certain things. Now, the interesting thing is that Musa alayhi salam refers to the Prophet as this young boy. He calls him ghulam. Ghulam means like, in Urdu it's a ladka, So, how old is the Prophet during the Miraj?
50
Yeah, about 51, 52, something about like around that much. And he's calling him a young boy. Why?
Because his, I think, lifespan was more.
Not 500, but yeah. Musa alayhi salam died when he was about 130 or something. So he's like more than twice his age when he passed away. So for him, he's thinking, oh, this little kid, he's been like sent after me and he's got so many followers. So yeah. Okay. All right. Now, why this order and why these people have been chosen? Because obviously we know, from the names we know at least 25 of the Anbiya, okay, that we know their names or their stories. And out of those 25, these 8 have been selected. Not 8. 8 have been selected. Now why? So the first thing is Adam alayhi salam, and by the way, by putting them on heaven number 1, 2, 3, it's not really depicting their level in the sight of Allah or their status or something like that. It's just, the Prophet ﷺ is going to go through each heaven, so he's going to be welcomed by someone. But all the Anbiya, they all have the same station, because they are all Rafiqul A'la, right? So they all have a good, noble place in the Akhirah. But this is just the order in which he meets them. And Adam alayhi salam, of course, being the father of mankind, he is the first person to greet him and meet him. And so the first and the last he sees are fathers, right? Also Adam alayhi salam symbolizes certain things. So Adam alayhi salam was in a holy place, right? He was in a divinely created place, and then he was removed from that place, and inshallah he goes back to that place, okay, and he leaves his comfort and his pleasures, and he has to leave that place. And this is there's a lot of symbolism that the Prophet ﷺ, he is in the holiest of places, and he will have to leave that place, and he will have to leave his comfort, because where you live all your life is the place that you're most comfortable. And to leave that place and to start living in a new place, it has a lot of challenges and difficulties that come with it. And then eventually the Prophet ﷺ will come back to that place. Then he meets Isa and Yahya, and these are both prophets who are closest to the Prophet ﷺ chronologically. Okay, so they are the closest. They are the ones who came just before the coming of the Prophet ﷺ, in comparison to a lot of the other Anbiya. And they were rejected by their people, and not only rejected, but the Yahud wanted to kill them, right? And they were they were, chasing them, and they were, trying their best to kill them. And they actually managed to kill Yahya. They didn't manage to kill Isa alayhi salam because Allah raised him. But they were, that was what their aim was. And again, there's some symbolism that, you're not the only one who is rejected, Ya Rasulullah, alayhi salatu wassalam. But there are other Anbiya before you who were also rejected by their people, who were persecuted, who were, that they wanted to kill him. And I don't know if you know, but the first prophet amongst the Yahud to be killed was Zakaria. And it's very sad if you read his story. He he ran, and the tree opened, and then he went into the tree. Yeah, and then eventually they still killed him. But he was the first one that they killed, and then after that they just, they kept killing them. Yeah. So, Yahya was beheaded in, alayhi salam was beheaded in Bayt al-Maqdis. So this is how they were with their own Anbiya. I mean, let alone, torturing or giving pain or troubling their prophets, but killing them, And that's what Allah is saying, right? He keeps saying that, why are you killing your Anbiya? Yeah. All right. Then he sees Yusuf alayhi salam. And Yusuf alayhi salam again has a lot of symbolism and lessons to be learned from him, in the sense that Yusuf alayhi salam, he is rejected and, you could say, tortured by his own family. It's his own blood brothers who do whatever they do to him. So you see, this is also some kind of consolation for the Prophet ﷺ, that it's not just him, that his blood family is trying to, assassinate him or kill him or reject him, but this happened to the Anbiya in the past as well. And in the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, eventually his blood brothers, they make istighfar and they accept his faith and they come back, and everything gets patched up, right? And so again, inshallah, the Prophet ﷺ has hope that my people will eventually accept my faith and come back, and things will become good. And when the conquest of Makkah happens, and he enters Makkah, and these people, they're crying because they're thinking that, oh my God, for all the harm that we have caused this man, now he's going to deal with us, and very rightly so, because they deserve, whatever's going to happen to them now, because they have really gone to every extent that they could to try and eliminate the Prophet ﷺ and his message. So now they're really scared for themselves. And what does the Prophet ﷺ say? He says, La tathriba. He says the same thing that the brothers of the Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam said. Yeah, La tathriba alaykum al-yawm yaghfir Allahu lakum. Yeah. So it's the same kind of thing that Yusuf alayhi salam says to his brothers. Okay. And then we have Idris, and who is raised, and Allah says وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. So the Prophet ﷺ is also raised, and like I said to you, that you'll find a lot of similarities. It's like everything that the other Anbiya have, it sort of like completes and perfects itself in the Prophet ﷺ. And then we have Harun alayhi salam, who was also initially rejected by his people, and then they accepted him. Then we have Musa alayhi salam, who has the most similarities with the Prophet ﷺ in terms of his message, his people following, his dawah. Musa alayhi salam is the first prophet to whom jihad is ordained. There was no jihad in the past. Do you know how they used to fight things out? So before jihad, they would make a sacrifice, and they would place it in the open area, and a fire would come from the sky and it would take it. It would burn it. Yeah. And so then that's how they would know, that this thing has been accepted or whatever. But from Musa alayhi salam's time, jihad was ordained. And so you had to physically go and use your body and your weapons and everything and fight and earn the booty, or establishing tawheed. It was not done in any other way, but it was actually done physically, where because why are you doing jihad? Jihad is done to establish la ilaha illallah in the earth. There's no other purpose. You just want to establish Islam wherever. That's why all these conquests that took place, that's how Islam got to where it is today. They got up to nearly Austria. but they weren't able to get into Austria. If you read history and you read where they were, that's why, for example, Spain, they got up to Spain, they went into France, and they were trying to get into Austria, but with sins and with getting away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the victory gets taken away. So victory is not something that comes from our strength, or it comes from us, or because we are really brave fighters, or because we are very skilled in fighting or in with swords. Victory comes from Allah. So for example, you might be few in number, but if Allah is on your side, you will get victory. So when you sin and you become far away from the deen of Allah, and you get busy with dunya and distractions of the dunya, then the victory gets taken away. And so gradually they lost a lot of what they had. So today, if any of you have ever been to Spain or go to Spain, it's very sad, but they have extreme hatred for Muslims, and they try their best to make life difficult for any Muslims who live there or come to visit there. And there is so much Islamic history there. They've turned the masajid into cathedrals. They've put these big crosses on the masajid because they're trying to, show that, we got rid of Islam, we got rid of Muslims. But the thing is that, their presence in Spain was unbelievable, for the number of years, 600 years or however many, 800 maybe years that they ruled there. So you can imagine how much Islam there was there, And okay, so the next person he meets is Ibrahim alayhi salam, and Ibrahim alayhi salam is sitting with his back against the Baytul Ma'mur. Okay, and we've mentioned what the Baytul Ma'mur is in the past. It's what the Kaaba is on the earth. You have a Baytul Ma'mur in the heavens. It is said that the Baytul Ma'mur was made as a kafara for the angels because they asked Allah why He's creating the human being. So the angels, they follow commands, they don't disobey Allah, they follow commands, and they have a few other roles. And one of the things they did was, when Allah was creating the human being, they asked Allah that, why are you creating the human being? And it could be considered like a sort of like a disrespectful thing to say to Allah that, why are you doing this when you have us, and we worship you, and that these people, they're going to commit bloodshed and fight and do all of this. And so this was like a kafara for them. So they have to come and they have to do tawaf of the Baytul Ma'mur, but no angel returns to it. They can only come once, and they do it, and then they leave. And again, if you start calculating that 70,000 from the time of creation, and then every day, all the time, and the numbers just like multiply until you don't know some numbers, you don't know how big this number is and how many angels there are. But then when you think about how huge the creation of the heavens is, I mean, like we're saying, ring in the desert, we don't even know how big this galaxy is, and then the next one is much bigger than this. Like, ring in the desert, the ring on this table looks small, the ring on the carpet will look small. What about the ring in the desert? Sah? I mean, it's like mind-blowing. So there's a hadith which says attat as-sama, that the skies, they groan, like if I was to put too many things on this table and it's going to go, it's going to make that sound, right? Because this is too loaded, right? That's the sound that the heavens make because they're too loaded with angels. So the skies creak because they are so full of angels that it is said there is not a space of 2 fingers except that there is an angel bowing or prostrating or standing. So the number of angels is just, it's a number that we don't even understand exists, okay? And So these angels come and they do this, they do tawaf and then they go and they never come back. But Ibrahim alayhi salam, he has the honor of being able to stay there as long as he wants. He's sitting with his back against the Bayt al-Ma'mur. So he has an additional, you could say, honor or respect that even the angels don't have that opportunity. They can only come once and that's it. All right. And then Ibrahim alayhi salam, he sends us salam through the Prophet sallam. So he says that, give your ummah my salam. And he also informs us about Jannah. And he says that, tell them that Jannah has a very fertile soil or fertile land. And that, what's the other word he used? I think he said it's very vast and it is very fertile, but he said it is empty. Yeah, it's barren. There's nothing there. And he said, I think the Prophet ﷺ asked him that, what is the growth of the foliage of Jannah? And he said it is Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. So all of you should say it. And inshallah, this is what is going to grow in Jannah. Every time you say that, it grows. Yeah, that's what the foliage in Jannah is. Then the Prophet ﷺ, he meets Malik. Who is Malik?
Gatekeeper of hell.
Yeah, he's the gatekeeper of hell. And Jibreel said to me, this is Malik, give him salams. So the Prophet ﷺ said, I turned around to greet him, but before I could say anything, he greeted me. So I returned the salam. And he said he did not smile, and he seemed very serious. So it means the other angels that he met, they would have smiled and met him with a nice face. So the Prophet ﷺ asked Jibreel, that he did not smile. He seemed very serious. And so Jibreel said to him, he said he has never smiled or laughed ever since he was created and ever since he saw Jahannam. So his job is a very tough job. He's the gatekeeper of hellfire. And, this is something that would wipe the smile off anybody's face. It's a very, very awful place to constantly be around and to, have to watch it and that's his job, that's where he works. And Jibreel said to him, he said, if he had ever smiled, it would have been at you. If Malik had ever smiled, he would have smiled at you, but he just can't smile. May Allah protect us from the nar. And another thing to note here is that when the Prophet ﷺ greets Malik, he doesn't go to the vicinity of Jahannam, but Malik comes to where he is and he greets him. And this is again showing that the Prophet ﷺ is very, very far away from having anything to do with the Jahannam or having any nearness or closeness to it. May Allah keep us all away from it. And that's why, for example, fasting. It is said that fasting makes you 70 years, I think, or 700 years away from the fire of hell. I can't remember the exact number, but it is, I think, 70 or, yeah. So these are things that we should try to do, because it's one thing to want to go to Jannah. Yes, of course, we all want to go to Jannah. But I think it's very, very, very important that we also pay attention to asking Allah to save us from the fire. You don't want to go anywhere near the fire. It's, people might think, oh, okay, maybe I might go for a day or two. It's not a joke to go to Jahannam for a day or two. And a day in the Akhirah is like 1,000 years. I mean, it's not a small thing. So, there are a number of things which the Prophet ﷺ taught us. If we do them, he said the fire of hell is made haram on you. So we should try to run after those things, because we want to make the fire haram on us, right? Does anybody know what some of these things know? Okay, so for example, if you pray 4 rakahs of sunnah before dhuhr and 4 rakahs of sunnah after dhuhr, it is said that the fire is forbidden on you. If you, I think, pray 40 prayers with the first takbir, this is for the men perhaps, then I think the fire is made haram on you, as in consecutively. For 40 days, you pray all your salawat and you get the takbiratul ihram. You know, when the imam starts, you're there and you start the prayer with him. And I think, as far as I know, it's for the men. And then the fasting, it takes you away from hellfire. There are a few other things, I can't remember them now off the top of my head, but there are more things that he has mentioned that will make the fire forbidden on you. There's one other thing, it's like gone out of my head. Okay, if I remember, inshallah. Maybe, did I ever ask you guys the conditions of the shahada?
You didn't ask. You asked, but you didn't ask the question. No.
Can you remind me next time?
You want to ask?
Yeah, next time. I want to finish this now. But remind me that. And also, you guys go and do a little bit of research and tell me what protects you from fire. Huh?
The 10 to 13 of this protection from fire.
Okay, so please, okay, find it and we'll discuss it next time. This is important. Okay. All right. So then, now we're above the 7 heavens. And then he said that Jibreel alayhi salam continued to go up. Okay, now we're going above what is, you could say, the end of creation. Okay. And he said, I saw in front of me the Sidratul Muntaha. Okay, now this is the last point. And it is said that the Sidratul Muntaha, which is translated in English as the lote tree, this is one of the greatest creations, or one of the most magnificent creations of Allah, and that's why Allah says in the Quran that وَلَقَدْ رَآهُ مِنْ آيَاتِنَا الْكُبْرَى. Okay, and this is one of the things that he saw, that is referred to as Ayatin al-Kubra. So it is said that this tree, it starts in the 6th heaven and it extends into the 7th heaven. So we don't understand. I mean, when we think of tree, we think of like an oak tree or something, but this is some really huge creation of Allah's. If it's starting in one heaven, and the reason we're even saying it's starting in one heaven and going into the other is because some narrations say it's in the 6th heaven, some narrations say it's in the 7th heaven. So the scholars, they tried to reconcile this and they said perhaps it starts there and then it extends up. And it's a dynamic tree, and like the words used are, they don't really explain what the Prophet ﷺ is saying, because like Allah says that إِذْ يَخْشَى السِّدْرَةَ مَا يَخْشَى, that, and the sidra was surrounded by what it was surrounded with, because it is like the Prophet ﷺ said that he said he saw a hue of colors. And he said that these are colors I can't describe. So these are not colors from our spectrum, but these are some other kind of colors which he has never seen before. And this is something which is constantly changing. And he said he saw butterflies of gold flying around it. And he said that the things kept changing around the tree. So he said that no one can really describe it because it keeps changing. So imagine if you come to me in a red scarf, and then you go and then you come in a purple scarf, then you come in a yellow scarf, and if I go and I say I saw Rabina today, and they say, oh, what was she wearing? What am I going to say? She was wearing red and purple and yellow and green and blue, because you're constantly changing your whatever you're wearing. So this tree is not like a regular tree. This is like a dynamic tree where something is constantly going on, which is constantly like changing. And so, very little is known about it, but these are some of the few things that I have told you. And it is said that it is known for its large branches, it grows delicious fruit, it has a sweet scent, and the leaves of the tree were described by the Prophet ﷺ as ears of the elephant. And it is known that the Prophet ﷺ never saw an elephant, I think, because the Amul Fil happened when he was born, but after that there were no elephants. So Allahu Alam, but he described it as the ears of elephants. And the fruits of this tree are described as the jars of hajar. Now, Allahu Alam, but they must have been like big jugs or whatever. So the fruits are really massive. And in the hadith that I have here, it says that then Jibreel took me till we reached Sidratul Muntaha, which is the utmost boundary, which was shrouded in colors indescribable. Then I was admitted into paradise, where I found small walls made of pearls, and its earth was of musk, a kind of perfume. But we will look at that, inshallah, next time. But the last thing I will tell you about the Sidratul Muntaha is that
I think the distance, 100 years.
No, the best way to describe it would be that it is, you could say, the main point of things ascending and descending. So everything that goes up, it goes up to the Sidratul Muntaha, and then whatever has to be done with it, it is done. And everything that goes down goes to the Sidratul Muntaha, and from there it goes down. Okay? And what goes up? Can you give me an example? Sorry? Okay, souls and something very common all the time. Yeah, dua. Our actions, right? Our actions go up. And, that's why the Prophet ﷺ used to fast on Mondays and Thursdays, because he would say, my actions will be presented to Allah on these 2 days, and I would like to be in a state of fasting when they reach Allah. And what comes down?
Rivers, I think. The 4 rivers?
No. What comes down to the earth?
Blessings.
And in what form? Blessings?
Rain.
Rain, and those kind of things. That's right. So, rizq and all these things. So this is all, you could say like the Sidra is the central point. So everything comes down to it, and then from there it's distributed, and everything that goes up, it goes there, and then from there it ascends to wherever it ascends. Allah knows best. And then, yes, the last point about the Sidra is that the Prophet ﷺ, he said he saw 4 rivers from under the Sidra, 2 rivers from the dunya and 2 rivers from Jannah. So can anybody name them? From the dunya is the Nile and the Euphrates. And if you think about it, a lot of the civilizations, the really like grand civilizations, they have been around these 2, all this Mesopotamia and all of that you might have studied as a little child in history. This was all around these 2 main rivers, so they've always been really grand. And even towards the end, one of the days of the judgment signs is going to be from the Euphrates. Okay, and what are the 2 rivers of Jannah? Yes, very good. Kauthar and? Okay, I'll accept that. So you find out what is the name of the river in Jannah other than Kauthar. She's named Kauthar. Now, something special about Kauthar. Do we know what Kauthar is?
It's for the basin. It's presented to our Prophet.
Yes. So it is something that that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to the Prophet ﷺ as a gift. Okay, so it's not the question of whether you deserve it or not, but it's something that was given as a as a complimentary thing, as a gift to him. And of course it was in response to what?
Because he did not have boy.
Yeah. Because his sons didn't live. Because his son died, and so they said Batara Muhammad, which means that his lineage has been cut off, and they said he will never be remembered and his name will be forgotten, because as we know, lineage is passed through boys. It's not passed through girls, right? So the girl might take the father's name, but her children will all take her husband's name. So her father's name will go when she goes. So basically that's where it ends. But if you have a boy, he carries on your name. But you see, these things, these are not in our hands, and these are not in the hands of lineage and our systems and little things that we have in our mind. This is all Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's, treasures, His, this is His arzaq, and He gives it to whoever He wills. And that's why it's so important to always remember that barakah is more important than anything else that you do. So you might, kick and scream and try to do this and try to do that, but if your standing with Allah is not good and straight, then there will be no barakah in what you do. And no matter how much everything is in your favor, it will still not work out because there's no barakah. So if there is barakah in what you do, then even if you have the least likeliness of getting somewhere with whatever you're trying to do, you will get there inshallah from Allah's barakah, because who are the treasures with? They're all with Allah. This is all arzaq, and He gives to whom He wills, and you can ask Him to give you, but you have to be sincere and honest and straight. After this, inshallah, we'll talk about, when the Prophet ﷺ crosses the Sidra and what he sees next, inshallah.
وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.